Hi guys, something most people who join Reform UK don't seem to understand is that it's basically a dictatorship with Nigel Farage as the dear leader. And anyone who disagrees with that will find themselves out the door after being smeared by either Nigel or elements close to Farage. Michael Crick, who's something of an expert on the Reform UK leader, having written a book on him, spoke to Times Radio about the current implosion involving Rupert Lowe. And he explained here that nobody who crosses Farage lives to tell the tale. Politically.
Farage finds it very difficult to work with other big figures around him. Now, Rupert Lowe is not that substantial a figure. I don't think, unlike Elon Musk, I don't think he's a potential leader of the Brexit the Reform Party. But he is a bit of a name. He was chairman of Southampton, made himself quite unpopular with the fans, but he is slightly well known compared with some of the other Reform MPs. And Farage, and of course he's been quite critical of Farage. He's fed up with the autocratic way in which Farage runs his party. He is essentially a dictator of whichever party he leads. And he says, well, you've got to do it my way. I lead us to electoral success, which is true. And other people have to go along with it. And if they don't like it, well, they end up in a big bust-up, and quite often accidents befall them, as a bit like what goes on in Russia. So it's the way he runs things.
It's pretty grim, though, isn't it, Michael? I mean, Lowe himself has tweeted saying that he has been made aware of allies of Nigel Farage or senior reform figures, briefing journalists that he has dementia.
Well, I mean, this is that is just appalling. But it's par for the course. I mean, there was a guy, Richard Sukareski, who stood against Farage for the leadership in 2010, and friends of Farage went round briefing that Sukareski was a BNP supporter. Two of Sukareski's ancestors were murdered by the Nazis. The Nikki Sinclair who was a member of the European Parliament for UKIP. She had a bust-up with Farage over expenses, UKIP expenses claims and so on. And she ended up being the subject of an police investigation, ended up on trial, although the case that she was acquitted in the end. So if you fall foul of Farage, not very nice things can happen to you, and not very nice things may well be said about you. This is the way in which he and his team often operate.
It's shocking, but it's not surprising. I like the comparison with Putin's Russia. You fall foul of the leader and you end up having an accident of some sort. It's exactly like that. See, it's a cult of personality. And Farage doesn't want to share power with anyone. He is the guy in charge. It's his way or the highway. Once again, it's not like a normal political party where the members vote for the leader, or the candidates put forward their policies and the members of the party vote for this. It's basically a dictatorship. It's a company, in a sense, run by the CEO, and the CEO decides, the policies, decides who's hired, who's fired, and anyone who disagrees with that, well, as was pointed out here by Michael Crick, end up pretty badly. Which begs the question, why are people joining Reform in the first place? Like, I can understand people like Richard Tice, they have no ambition to become Prime Minister or anything like that. But anyone with any sort of ambition, it's over. It's over for them. You can't compete with Farage. He is the leader. You have to buy into his ideas. And if you don't agree with that, then you need to go. And we've seen, other people like Ben Habib who disagree with Farage, Rupert Lowe, of course, who disagrees with Farage on certain issues. You either keep your differences to yourself or you go. I really don't understand how anyone with any functioning brain can think that they can change the direction of Reform UK. There are people with it. It attracts the worst people in society, of course, and narcissists as well. But do they honestly believe that they can challenge Farage? Do they honestly believe that they can turn the party around, appeal to more the further on the right, the people on the far right? Like, you could understand if there are people within the party who say, look, we need to modernize, we need to appeal to conservative voters, maybe even liberal-minded people. We need to expand beyond the far right base. But if Farage doesn't agree with that, then it's over. Look at what's happening in the United States with Donald Trump. The Republicans who wanted to further their careers genuflected in front of the dear leader. They understand, if I want to succeed, I have to be a yes man to Donald Trump. Do not disagree with him on anything. Because if I do, I'm out the door. And maybe some people, I think the clever people in Reform UK understand that. But maybe Rupert Lowe and Ben Habib are not very clever people. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.